When my wife and I were setting up our new house, I went out to get tools for a while, and I heard her whispering to a friend on the porch. As soon as the house is deeded to me, I'm gonna kick him out. He paid for everything, and now it's all going to be mine. The friend laughed. Smart. First squeeze him for every last penny, then leave him empty-handed. I walked over, smiling, and served them lemonade, as if nothing had happened. But that night I sprang into action. She thought she was using me, but I had already started my game. 2 weeks later, she got the papers right at work, in plain sight. I've never written one of these before. Hell, I've never even really posted anything personal online, just scrolled, liked, maybe dropped a comment here or there. But lately, my brain won't shut up and my hands shake too much to text my brother, so here I am. I don't know what I'm expecting out of this. Closure? Advice? I think maybe I just need to feel like someone, somewhere, is listening. That I'm not crazy. And before you think this is some dramatic Netflix plot or clickbait Reddit saga, it's not. It's messier. Smaller. Quieter. Like something that starts with a single offhand comment and ends with your whole life flipped inside out while you're standing in your own backyard with a cup of lemonade in your hand wondering what the hell just happened. So anyway, let me back up. I met Katia through the worst housing situation I've ever been in, which is saying something because I've lived in 5 different cities over the past 10 years and survived 3 Craigslist roommates and a fire alarm that wouldn't stop beeping for 6 months. But this place? This place was cursed. The landlady, Letitia, was in her late 50s, wore all beige linen like a cult leader, and was obsessed with energy flow. She had wind chimes in every corner and taped sage bundles to our mailboxes. At first, it was funny in that only in California kind of way. But then she started knocking on my door at 11 p.m. to tell me she felt bad vibrations in my unit. Once, she left a note on my door saying rent was going up again, 3rd time in 5 months, and also that everyone had to move their cars by sundown because she was doing a spiritual cleansing of the parking lot. I wish I was joking. Katia lived 2 doors down. I'd seen her around a few times, always in beat-up sneakers and an oversized hoodie, smoking a cigarette by the dumpster with this look on her face like the universe was a little too loud that day. We exchanged nods, a few sarcastic comments about the landlord, but never really talked until one night around midnight we both happened to be dragging our busted IKEA furniture out to the trash at the same time. I had a half-broken dresser barely hanging together with duct tape. She was tossing out what looked like a coffee table that had been chewed on by a wild animal. We just kind of looked at each other and she said, "You ever get the feeling this building is cursed?" I laughed. "I've had 2 pipes burst and my rent's gone up twice. Yeah, I'd say it's cursed." She smirked. "Screw this. We should just get out." It started as a joke. But a few weeks later, it wasn't a joke anymore. She found a listing, a fixer-upper on the edge of town. Market was crashing, interest rates were decent, and we both had savings but not enough to buy a loan. We talked about it for hours at a diner one night. She drew floor plans on a napkin. I ran numbers on a spreadsheet. We weren't dating. Not even flirting. It was just 2 people tired of crap landlords and rotting baseboards and wanting a place that felt like it was theirs. So yeah, we bought a house together. People ask all the time if we were already a couple when we signed. The answer is no. It was a weird situation, I get that. But at the time, it felt practical. She'd cover more of the down payment I'd take on the monthly maintenance. We signed everything as co-owners. 2 names on the mortgage. Joint responsibilities. But you spend enough nights sanding cabinets and ordering takeout at 1 a.m. and eventually something shifts. I can't tell you the exact moment it changed. Maybe it was when we painted the kitchen walls while drunk on cheap wine. Maybe it was when her hand brushed mine while we were assembling a bookshelf and neither of us moved away. Maybe it was just quiet, the kind that feels good. A few months in, we started dating. Another 6 months and we got married. Looking back, it all moved fast. Too fast maybe. But it felt easy. Natural. Like we'd skipped all the awkward getting-to-know-you stuff because we already knew how the other person loaded a dishwasher or handled a clogged toilet. We didn't have the kind of romance people write songs about. Ours was quieter, built on routines and shared grocery lists and fighting over which tile looked better in the bathroom. The house needed a lot of work. She loved picking colors and tile samples. I liked knocking down drywall and figuring out what the hell was wrong with the plumbing. We made a decent team. We argued sometimes about stupid things, mostly like whether open shelving was a vibe or just impractical, but we made it work. I handled most of the bills, chased down deals on appliances, did 90% of the repairs. She worked remotely and managed some of the design stuff. And for a while, it was good. Until it wasn't. I don't know exactly when I started feeling like something was off. Maybe it started with the way she'd refer to things casually, like she didn't even notice. She'd say stuff like, "I can't wait to have people over in my kitchen once it's done." Or, "I love how I decorated my living room." I'd laugh, say something like, "Guess I just live here, huh?" and she'd smirk and shrug like it was a joke. But it happened again. And again. Even my brother noticed. He came by to help build a bed frame, and when we were carrying pieces upstairs, Katia called out, "Careful with my floors." David looked at me like, did I miss something? I brushed it off. But the knot in my gut didn't go away. That weekend, we were working on the back deck. The railing kept coming loose, and I was reattaching it while Katia was out front with her friend Liza. Liza's one of those people who's constantly talking about manifesting abundance and aligning your energy, but somehow always ends up with free stuff from other people. She's exhausting, but Katia loves her. Anyway, I was in the garage, digging through toolboxes for my drill, and the side window was open just enough that I could hear bits of their conversation from the front porch. I wasn't eavesdropping, not intentionally. I was zoning out thinking about what screws to use when I heard Katia say something like, "Once the deed is switched, he's out. He won't fight it. He's too soft." Paid for the appliances, the floors, I barely put in anything except some paint. Soon it's all mine. I froze. Literally just stood there holding a box of screws. Then Liza, in that voice of hers that always sounds half-mocking, said, "Drain him, babe. Let him pay for your next place too." And they laughed. Like really laughed. That cruel, high-pitched laugh you hear from the cool girls in high school who just told the shy kid his shirt smells weird. I can't even describe what that felt like. Like the air in the garage got sucked out. It wasn't just betrayal. It was how casually they said it. Like I wasn't even a real person. Just some idiot paying for her Pinterest board. I didn't storm out. I didn't say anything. I just slowly walked around the side of the house, plastered on a smile, and stepped onto the porch like nothing happened. Liza gave me a quick fake cough laugh and looked away. Katia smiled like usual and asked if I could bring them some lemonade. I said sure. Went inside. Poured 2 glasses. Came back out and handed them over. Then I sat on the step with my phone, scrolling TikTok like nothing was wrong while inside my chest was a live wire. They went back to talking about flooring samples and brunch spots. Liza eventually left, gave Katia a smug little smack on the arm before walking out, and Katia just waved like everything was normal. I stayed outside long after the door shut behind her, trying to decide whether to punch the wall or just laugh until I lost my mind. Instead, I called David. Said my phone was acting up and asked if he knew how to back up receipts to the cloud. He didn't say much, but I could tell he knew something was wrong. That night, Katia acted completely normal. Tried to cuddle up to me on the couch while we watched some throwaway Netflix show. I nodded along, said the right things, smiled when I needed to, but in my head, I was making a list. After that night on the porch, everything looked different. It's strange how fast your perspective can shift. One minute you think you're building a life with someone, laying tile and arguing over cabinet knobs, and the next you realize they've been treating you like a placeholder. Piggy bank with a heartbeat. Katia didn't act any different. Not on the surface. Still asked what I wanted for dinner. Still sent me memes during the day. Still kissed me on the cheek when I got home from the hardware store. But under all of it, I saw it now. The little digs. The control. Suddenly, every time she called the living room her space, felt like a warning sign I'd ignored. Every time she made a joke about how lucky I am to live in her house, landed differently. And I started noticing how often she brought up paperwork. Out of nowhere. At dinner, on a walk, even when we were watching TV. It would be so much easier tax-wise if the house was just under one name, she said one night, casually, like she was talking about switching internet providers. I said nothing, just nodded and kept chewing. Another time, she mentioned how her parents were coming to visit and might want to see the deed. Like that was a totally normal thing to bring up. Her parents don't even like me. Her mom blocked me on Facebook 2 years ago because I didn't talk enough at dinner. That's literally the reason. Still, I played it cool. Smiled, nodded, said I'd look into it. But I was writing everything down. Every comment, every nudge. I opened a note on my phone and kept a timeline. I backed up every receipt. The fridge, the new washer, The paint for the bedroom she said she hated but picked out anyway. All of it went into a folder on Google Drive. At one point, I felt like I was prepping for a tax audit. But doing something, even something small, gave me back a little sense of control. Katia, meanwhile, kept acting like nothing was wrong. Except she got more impatient. Shorter with me. More smug? She started making offhand jokes about moving my stuff to the guest room. At first framed as needing more space to repaint. I laughed it off, but one morning I came home from grabbing coffee and found half my clothes folded badly on the spare bed. I stood there like, really? She just said, you take up so much space. Like I was some couch cushion that no longer fit her aesthetic. That night, I took photos of everything. Quietly. Closets, furniture, receipts, anything I paid for or assembled myself. I wasn't going to let her gaslight me into thinking this wasn't happening. We had this one argument, and I used that word lightly about the dishwasher not draining. She walked into the kitchen, tossed a dish towel on the floor and said, "You're the fixer, right? Fix it." "No, please." "No, thanks." I fixed it. She didn't say a word. Just posted a selfie with the caption, "Turning my house into a home. One upgrade at a time." I started distancing myself. Quietly, subtly. Stopped putting money into our shared account. Stopped buying anything unless I could pay for it from my personal checking and prove it. When she asked why the renovation fund was running low, I told her I was waiting on a refund from a canceled tile order. She rolled her eyes and texted someone. I'm guessing it was Liza. Speaking of Liza, she was around a lot, like way more than before. Some nights I could hear them laughing through the wall, but when I walked by, everything went silent. One time I caught Liza glancing at me like I was an old dog that had overstayed its welcome. I kept my mouth shut, started locking my phone, carrying my wallet from room to room, stopped leaving my laptop open on the counter. One night, I walked back into the kitchen after using the bathroom and caught Katia flipping through my phone. She set it down real fast and said she was checking the weather. Sure. I texted my brother, David. Asked him what happens if one person pays for everything in a house but the other one tries to claim it. He's not a lawyer, but he's been through enough bad relationships to give solid advice. Keep your receipts. Don't sign anything. Don't let her get you in a rush. She's trying to catch you slipping. That's when I really started to pull back emotionally. Not in a dramatic way, just quieter, less reactive. Katia noticed, of course. She kept trying to provoke me, picking stupid fights, standing between me and the TV while I was watching something on YouTube, crossing her arms and demanding to know if I even care about this marriage. I said, "Can I finish this video first?" She slapped my arm. Not hard, not playful either. I got up, walked outside, called David, told him I was documenting everything. He said, "Good, don't react, just collect." That became my mantra. Don't react, just collect. One night, I overheard her on the phone with Liza saying, "He's so checked out." I could say anything and he'd just nod. She wasn't wrong. On the outside, that's exactly what I looked like. But inside, I was preparing to make sure she never saw what was coming. You ever play chess with someone who talks a big game, but the whole time you're just watching them blunder piece after piece? That was what the next few weeks felt like. Katia kept trying to push, manipulate, guilt trip, but the more she did, the more obvious it became that she had no idea what I was planning. She thought I was checked out, distant, maybe depressed. And honestly, I leaned into that. I let her believe it. Because the more she underestimated me, the more space I had to move in silence. The day after I overheard her and Liza talking about the deed again, I made a list. A real one. Not just notes on my phone or half-formed thoughts. I sat down at the kitchen table when she was out getting her nails done and wrote it all out. Every payment I'd made on the house, every repair, every bank transfer from my personal account. I went through my emails, dug up digital receipts, took screenshots of text messages where she thanked me for buying stuff or fixing something. Then I bought a hard drive and backed up everything twice. I opened a private storage unit across town. Nothing fancy, just enough space to stash the important things, my birth certificate, passport, Old family photos, expensive tools, consoles, anything I didn't want to lose if things went sideways. Every time she and Liza left the house, I'd quietly move a little more over. One day, she came home early and asked where my old guitar was. Oh, I said, took it to get repaired. Frets were all jacked up. She didn't push. Just nodded and went back to whatever influencer nonsense she was watching in the living room. She had no idea I was clearing the board. After that, I stopped transferring money to our shared account altogether. Any bills I paid directly from my own account and kept receipts. I let her handle groceries, home decor, and her ridiculous subscription boxes filled with candles and face serums. It didn't take her long to notice. One night while we were both in the kitchen, she pulled out her phone and said, "The joint account's low. Did you forget to move money this week?" "Oh," I said. "I've just been waiting on a refund from that backsplash order." She didn't buy it. Rolled her eyes, muttered something under her breath, and texted Liza. Liza, by the way, had basically moved in. I don't even remember when it happened. One day she was here for dinner, the next day her slippers were by the front door and her weird oat milk was in our fridge. She'd roll her eyes at me like I was the intruder. They'd whisper in the hallway, stop talking when I entered a room. Liza started giving me these smug little smiles like she knew something I didn't. But I wasn't bothered. I'd already seen the ending. I just needed to get there. The pressure from Katia kept coming in waves. Some days she'd be sugary sweet, making dinner and trying to sit next to me on the couch like nothing was wrong. Other days she'd throw jabs about how I didn't contribute enough or how she was always cleaning up after me. Funny how she never mentioned that I built the kitchen cabinets from scratch, or that I rewired half the outlets in the house. She started trying to shove forms at me. Literally. Printed out documents she downloaded from some sketchy legal site and tried to get me to sign them. "This is just to streamline the title stuff," she said one morning while handing me papers with a pen. "It'll make tax season easier." I didn't even look at the papers. Just said I want to read it over first. Maybe run it by David. Her face tightened. "Why do you need to bring your brother into this? It's not that serious. Then you won't mind me looking at it properly." She snatched the papers back and stormed out of the room. That night, I scanned the docs and sent them to a lawyer I'd quietly found through a friend. Not cheap. Worth every penny. He got back to me the next day, total scam. If I'd signed, she'd have full control of the property. After that, she got more aggressive. Not physically, not yet. But emotionally? It was constant. If I left my shoes by the door, I was a slob. If I took too long fixing a leak, I was lazy. If I watched a video on my phone, I was checked out. One night, she actually shoved me in the shoulder during an argument. I didn't even flinch. Just walked out and texted David, "It's getting worse." He called immediately. "You need to move, man." Quietly but fast. So I did. I spent the next few days finalizing my escape plan. Met with the lawyer again. Organized my evidence. Double-checked every document. Created a digital timeline that laid it all out, money trails, contributions, her messages, witness accounts, including David's. My lawyer said it was airtight. Said she'd have no claim to the house. I didn't feel relief. Just focus. Back at home, she kept escalating. More guilt trips, more fake affection, more manipulative crap. She'd post cute couple pics on Instagram, then ignore me in the kitchen. Liza started making snide comments openly. "Some people just don't know how good they have it," she said one morning while sipping coffee in my mug. I smiled. "You're right." Katia took that as a win. The final straw came when I caught them in the kitchen, rifling through a drawer where I kept some of my mail. When they saw me walk in, Katia jumped and said, "Oh, just sorting recycling." I didn't say a word, just stared until they both left the room. That night, I drove my last few personal things to the storage unit and left my car at David's. If she couldn't find my stuff, she couldn't touch it. The next day, she shoved another set of forms at me. "If you actually cared about this marriage, you'd help make it easier on me." I looked her in the eyes and said, "I'll think about it." She threw a spoon at the wall and walked out. That was the moment I knew I was ready. I texted David, "Game time." The next morning, I packed a bag, left before sunrise, and didn't come back. I didn't sleep the night before it happened. Not really. Just laid on the couch at my brother's place staring at the ceiling, going over every detail again and again. The documents. The receipts. The timeline. I knew I hadn't missed anything. But when your entire life is about to shift, doubt creeps in anyway. David didn't say much that morning. Just handed me coffee and nodded. We both knew what was coming. I waited until noon. That's when my lawyer served her. At her office. Right in front of her coworkers. I didn't see it, but David later got a screenshot from someone who did. Said she turned bright red, then pale. She texted me 5 times in the next hour. Then she called. Then she called again. And again. I didn't pick up. The messages started out confused. What is this? Are you serious right now? Then came the anger. You blindsided me. You coward. Then the guilt trips after everything I've done for you? You really want to throw it all away? I let them sit. I got back to the house around 6 p.m. It was weird walking in knowing it was mine. Legally, financially, everything. Katia was standing in the living room holding the papers. Her hands were shaking. What the hell is this? She asked. It's exactly what it looks like, I said. I'm done. She blinked at me, stunned. You can't just serve me papers like I'm some stranger. You stopped being my partner the minute you started planning to screw me over. She tried to play it cool. Rolled her eyes. Said I was being dramatic. Said I misunderstood everything. I didn't take the bait. Just stood there while she spiraled. Then the tears came. And the screaming. She threw a box of receipts across the room. Called me every name in the book. Told me I was nothing before her. Said I'd regret this. I told her to start packing. Liza showed up that night, full of fire, demanding to talk. I met her at the door and said, "You're not part of this. Leave." She tried to push past me. I didn't move. "This is abuse," she snapped. "No," I said calmly. "This is boundaries." She flipped me off and stormed out. Katia was behind her in tears, asking how I could be so cold. I didn't respond. That weekend, she packed most of her things. Her mom showed up to help and glared at me the whole time like I'd burned down a church. I didn't care. They took her clothes, her plants, a few boxes of decor. Everything else stayed. She tried to take the TV. I showed her the receipt with my name. She tried to take the blender. Same deal. By the 3rd item, she stopped arguing. She left the bedroom a mess. Left the fridge open. Knocked over a box of screws on her way out. I cleaned it all up in silence. After she was gone, the house was quiet. Not peaceful yet. Just quiet. The kind of silence that feels like a deep exhale after holding your breath for months. I didn't post about it. Didn't tell many people. A few mutual friends reached out confused. I didn't give details. Just said things didn't work out. People believe what they want to believe anyway. Last I heard, she moved back in with her parents. Liza faded into the background once she realized there was no prize to claim. The followers, the free dinners, the curated couple aesthetic, all gone. I'm not gonna lie and say it felt amazing. It didn't. It felt necessary. Like cauterizing a wound. It hurts, but it stops the bleeding. Some nights I still sit on the edge of the bed and wonder how it all flipped so fast. But then I walk into the kitchen, see the cabinets I built, the walls I painted, the home I created with my own 2 hands, and I remember. I didn't lose. I didn't let her win. I protected what mattered. If you're reading this and you're stuck in something that feels wrong, trust your gut. Keep your receipts. Protect your peace. Quiet power is still power. And sometimes the best move you can make is the one they never saw coming.